she talked about most of it Sunday, but we're gonna be coming from Numbers 20. We're gonna start at verse 2 and go to verse 13. Very familiar. This part of the text is where Moses and the Israelites were brought into the wilderness, and they were really in a dry place. They were complaining and didn't have no food, and verse number 2 says, the King James Version, and there was no water for the congregation, and they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron. And the people chose with Moses and spake, saying, Would God that we had died when our brethren died before the Lord. And why have ye brought up the congregation of the Lord into this wilderness, that we and our cattle should die there? And wherefore have ye made us to come up out of Egypt to bring us in unto this evil place? It is no place of seed or of figs or of vines or of pomegranates, neither is there any water to drink. And Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they fell upon their faces, and the glory of the Lord appeared unto them. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Take the rod and gather the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak ye unto the rock before their eyes, that it shall give forth his water. And thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock, so thou shalt give the congregation and their beasts drinks. And Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he commanded him. And Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock, and he said unto them, Hear now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? And Moses lifted up his hand and his rod. With his rod he smote the rock twice, and the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank and their beasts also. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, Because ye believe me not to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore ye shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them. So we see there, people saw it as, when you first read it, you see it as a symbol of disobedience. But when I read it, I saw it as a symbol of disbelief. Because there he was put into they was in a place where they didn't have nothing at all. And God had told them, the people began to complain to Moses because of the lack, and then God told him to speak to the rock. And I can see Moses, when God said that, he was like, God, you had me hit this rock all this time, and now you're asking me to speak to the rock. And I was like, you see it, and I was looking at it, I was like, really? Because we see Moses, we know Moses is famous for trusting God in whatever he had him to do. He had him bring out the people of Israel, bring the people out of Egypt. He even trusted God. God told him to throw his rod down. It turned into a snake. He trusted God with all of these things. He trusted God when it came to the Red Sea. He told him to lift the rod up, and he split the Red Sea in two, and he let them walk through the Red Sea. So we see him trusting God with all of this, but now they're stuck in a place that he has people on his back. So you see the people are on his back, and he's like, God, I can't let these people down. I know you said speak to this rock, but that's where it says in this Proverbs, I think it says Proverbs 3, where it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not unto your own understanding. See, Moses' understanding was that if he struck the rock, the water would come out. But if he had trusted God the way that God had gave it to him, he'd have spoke to that rock and the water would have came out just like God told him to. So we see God tell him then, he was like, since you didn't sanctify my name before the people, because as we know in previous texts, these were the same people that took a golden calf and started idolizing this golden calf due to just their beliefs. And so I can see where God was looking at the people of Israel, and he saw where they was looking at this rod as a symbol of idolship. Because we see Moses, anytime Moses had to did anything, it was with the rod. So I'm sure God was like, well, look, I'm gonna have to change it up a little bit. And so I said, well, you know, we see that, and then we see where, like Pastor said Sunday, where we talk about our sacrifice. So I said we talk as if our sacrifices are our tithes, but that's not your sacrifice. Your sacrifice is your offering. So we see where Moses and them are really struggling with this because they sacrificed what they had to be where they are now. So God had told them they was coming out, but they sacrificed. And then you can see up above in like verses 4 and 5 where when they was like, you brought us out here? You mean to tell me you brought us out here to die? Like we trusted you, and it was really a sign of the people maybe thought that Moses was trying to tell them a lie, because they was like, you mean to tell me God told you to bring us out here and ain't no food out here, ain't nothing out here for us to, ain't nothing for us. We got calves that gotta drink, we got kids that gotta drink, we got people. And I said, God, why Moses trusted you in everything that you gave him and his whole assignment, he trusted you, but what made it so impossible? And I said, and I got to looking and I got to reading it, and Moses didn't have a congregation with him when he was trusting God. Now he got people with him that he has to, that they are trusting on him and his words, because God told him that he was going to bring the Israelites out of Egypt. So he went and got them out of Egypt. So they trusted him now. They like, well, look, we trusting you. You said that God said he's going to do this. Now we trusting on you for him to deliver his word. So he brings them out, and then now we see that Moses had a congregation. So God said, be careful when you are put in a lead position, how you portray him. Because Moses was put in the leading position. God told him he's the head. So I can see Moses now saying, God, I can't get embarrassed. Okay, so his image was what he was looking at. I know that you can do it with the rod. I know this rod will work, but you telling me to speak to this rod. I ain't never did this before. So then you see that he didn't speak to him. He strikes it twice, and then God tell him, since you didn't obey me, you won't make it to the promised land. Because I can see God tell him there is more struggles that the Israelites are going to go through. And I need to know that if I'm going to let you lead us to the promised land, I need to know that you're going to trust me with everything in you and leave no doubt. So yeah, he was, and I made it know he was too high to get embarrassed. He didn't want to be embarrassed. He was like, I know this will work for me. I'm not gonna do this. I know that'll work. And see, if I was Moses, and when God told me to speak to the rock, I'd have left the rod where God had spoke to him at, because they left out and they was at the tabernacle, and they was at the door of the tabernacle, and you see God tells him in verse 8 to speak to the rock, and then verse 9 it says, and Moses took the rod from before the Lord, and as he commanded him. So he took the rod. I done left the rod, because see, what you do is, and what Christian folks do a lot of times is, we have what we would call a backfall, something to fall back on. So if he left the rod where he was at with God, he'd had no other choice but to speak to the rock. But see, now he got this fallback that he see, and he was in, and of course he was in a stressful situation. He had all these people that they want to know what's going on, and Christians get like that sometimes with the pastor. When they see the church struggling, they're like, Pastor, what's going on? What's going on, Pastor? Now you said that, God said you want a vision here, we got a vision, but what vision going from here? But and it's not on the pastor's way is listening to God. You have to follow the pastor. And see, if the people would have stayed in their place, God would have had Moses. Moses would have did what God said, but the people had Moses in a place where he was stressed out. He was just like, Lord, I'm gonna have to do. I gotta do what I know. I'm gonna do what I know. So we go to. I'm gonna go over here to.
I just want to can I add a little something there, because not only was Moses stressed, but Moses was angry. Yeah. Because Moses wasn't the only one who had witnessed God's miracle. And the people had witnessed those miracles too. And see, that wasn't the first time that they had messed up. It's bad when you've had such great experiences with God and His miracle, that every time a little something go wrong, you acting like you don't even know God can bring you out. And we get there sometimes. A lot of times we'll murmur, we'll complain before we even know it. And sometimes we just enhance other people murmuring and complaining, but it's not good to forget what God has already done, because God told them they were going to the promised land. The wilderness was not the promised land, but if God worked a miraculous miracle on the banks of the Red Sea, looked like they would have knew that God didn't bring them right there. But we also have to be mindful that we have to face situations out of trial. We really do, because a lot of times we say our mouth be one place, but our heart be somewhere else. And maybe Moses was trusting the rod more than he did, but the thing of it is, I think Moses was a little angry too, because you get tired, you really get tired, because a lot of times people forget you gotta do your share. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes they'll cast the weight of the load on the lead. But you gotta do your share. Moses needed them to believe, to trust, to be patient, to wait, to see what he had heard from the Lord. But they were going all the way back. I wish you had just left us over there in Egypt. We was better off there. We could have just died there. Well, maybe you could have, but you still wouldn't have had these great experiences with God that you had already had. And a lot of times we need to be grateful and be thankful for even where we are, because a lot of times God is trying to work something. He really does. He tried to work gonna face. And if you're not allowing the first situation to prepare you for the next situation, you gon' as they say, you gonna truly fall.
Right.
I was just thinking about that, you know, cause leaders get angry, cause it just be bad sometimes the way followers do. Just don't be good.
The followers put you in that place where
You know, where I work, I hear, what you finna say, I hear, you know, I look at the boss. This man got the whole weight of this factory on his shoulder. He hiring these people and some work, some won't work. Some come to work, y'all, they walk in late, they'll stay off 3 or 4 days and come back to work. And go to work. I'm serious, I ain't never thought, but they constantly complain, you know, and they don't realize that this man gotta please somebody too.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to hire, you know, he didn't have to hire any of us. And if we're not pleased, just go home.
That's true.
And second, it's just, it's so much.
I will, say this, Dr. George said, feedback on what, she was saying. People don't realize it, but I promise you, when the Bible said, let everything be done in decency and order, when you are in leadership position, there has to be a set of rules and regulations that are set in concrete and stone, and I'm talking about as far as I'm talking about natural now, you can relate it to spiritual too, any organization, anybody, any structure, because if not, people don't respect what's not written. I'm serious, and it will cause the whole thing to eventually crumble. You know, people will say, well, people love the leniency that they can get, but in all actuality, I tell the administrators where I work, and I told several of them that it's passed through. I said, you know, sometimes with the school system, wonder what's wrong with the children. I said, you expect them to function in a world full of discipline without discipline. That's impossible. Because the school system now has almost lost its whole disciplinary act, you know, no discipline, you know, they're trying to do it this way and do it this way, but like I tell the kids when they cut up with certain teachers and they don't be our kids, they can be gen ed teachers, they tell, she ain't not my mama, you know, she ain't not my this, my that. I said, this stop sign can't speak a word to you. But you gotta get to a place where you're gonna have to obey it, because your life is at stake when you do not, as well as others. I can go to the mall all day long at 11 o'clock, guess what? At 11 p.m. at night, I'm not getting in, because there's rules and regulations. People honor rules and regulations. I mean, as a leader, you gotta stand firm. Regardless, some may fall off, but hey, others will come.
Yeah, so, shoot, y'all got me blocked.
You know, and I guess to kind of, I don't know, it's kind of crazy to me now. Cause it's like a different world, some kind of way, you know? Cause even, Sister Elizabeth, sometimes you still got them folks that don't care what the rules and regulations are. I'm serious. They don't mean to respect it. And see, a lot of times, it be disruptive to the organization that's already in there, because the leader tried to deal with, you know, the whole thing, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of crazy now, you know, cause I'm kind of like you when it comes to order. And I hate, brother, I don't want to take your
No,
left,
you
but
good.
when it comes to organization, because everything everything need a platform that's full of structure. But there's something going on in the world now, and I'm serious. It is something going on in the world right now. It's like a new breed of people.
It is.
That it may be that they didn't get it from their house, or when they got in the wrong environment, that changed their perspective of, I owe you respect. It's something going on now. It's something going on in this world that's demonic. And I'm still wondering, you know, we on? Are we on? Well, you know, you can look at, it's something going on. Look at the political arena right now. Everything bad is winning, just about. And we still here trying. Y'all know what I'm saying? I know, I know things are demonic, and I know there are spirits loose, but it's something going on in this world. It's just something, it's like the trajectory of order is being pushed to the side. Y'all, and it's like the bad stuff is being embraced. It's something going on. I'm praying about it. I'm trying to see it because I know order needs to be in everything and it needs to be respected. You know, because, you know, like you were saying about the stop sign. You can get to a stop sign first now.
I promise.
And pull off in front of some, I'm serious, a four-way stop. You'll have road rage.
Yeah, well, somebody better stop. Or else, some gonna stop you.
But I'm
Some
just
gonna
saying,
stop you.
it's something, it is actually,
That is true.
and I was telling, I was telling somebody today, cause you know, I was thinking about this lesson, I guess the stuff got a root. But I was telling somebody today, I still believe that the biggest fault, like you said about the order, I think when order left the church, I believe that's where it got lost. Cause you know, I was telling them there, I think God said to Israel, if my people who are called by my name, if we would come to God right, but everybody is looking for an escape door to please their flesh. Just about everybody.
That's it.
They don't believe in consequences. That's what it is. I mean, we just believe I'm gonna get away.
Yeah.
It's no consequences. You know, I can do it, and that's the end of it.
Yeah. And I kill you if you mess with me. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
If I don't get away, I come back at it's crazy. We got
But we know Moses knew. He knew if he disobeyed God.
He knew the
He knew.
consequences.
But do you think he got caught up in a moment of anger
Yeah.
with all of the people coming, you know, boom, boom, boom?
I've been there.
We the Israel, and Moses be the preachers. The people be just going at the preacher like it's the preacher fault.
The preacher got to stand too.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the preacher got to stand too.
Right.
Yeah, I know Willie them in a field now. Out there, you think people almost hate policemen to even be in their presence. They don't know if they're gonna need them or not. I
But
don't
as
know.
soon
y'all.
as they need them, I mean,
As soon as
they'll call.
They gonna call.
And if
So
they don't do what
they
they
know
want
it's
them to
something
do,
to them, but
Something important
jump
about
on
it,
them.
but they just.
take them to court.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got to do something. I don't know. Ooh, I see why Nehemiah had a burden on him when the wall was down in Jerusalem. I see why. Lord have mercy.
You know, I was thinking about how important it is to have your rules and regulations, and regardless of what be going on in the world, don't let stuff sway you. I think about how different classes of people, you look at the world in general is suffering because you can't get shipment in, you can't hardly get shipment out. China is dealing with so much, but when you look at the what's the name of my people? Help me, what's your people name? The Amish people, they ain't suffering nothing. Cause they was not swayed, they was not persuaded by what was going on in the world. It's something about being able to maintain who you are and really know what's working for you and stick to your order. You know what I'm saying? They ain't suffering nothing. They still raising their crop. They still going to, if something happened with the electricity power outage, they go to bed with the setting of the sun. They rise with the sun. You know, we got this way ourselves, and it's, you know what I'm saying? We did this. We did this.
We did, but it's in a mess.
It's
I
in a
mean,
mess,
we
but
really
everything
did,
ain't in a
but
mess.
it's
You know what I'm
messed up.
saying?
Yeah.
Everything is not in a mess.
Yeah, cause you see so what Pastor was saying, I said it's something how God will make the situation that you are in now look worse than the situation that you was in, cause he wanna know what your trust is gonna be like.
Yeah.
So he wanna know, you know, if just looking back, if you was in a better situation, are you gonna trust me or are you gonna go back? And I'm sure it was some people like, I'm ready to go back, because I had my stuff together, I was together, but they don't know the consequences that come with that. Like who's to say that they went back and they all would have died? So even with that, even with God, even with Moses being the leader and disobeying God, it was something how God still allowed the water to come out the rock.
Yeah.
Because there he was disobeyed God. God didn't have to let that water come out the rock. He could have said, well, he disobeyed me, now y'all all gonna suffer. You know, because the leader is the head. So he could have said, well, since the head has disobeyed me, he could have said the rest is gonna just fall behind. And he could have made them all suffer, but he didn't do that. And so we see there where he and then Hebrews 11:1, where it's now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So we see they didn't see the promised land. So at that point where they was at, they never saw the promised land. They saw where they was in the wilderness and they was like, well, if this is what we gotta do to get to the promised land, I don't wanna do it. You know, cause God will tell you, I'm gonna take you here. He don't tell you how you gonna get there. And see what people look for when God tell us that is what the instructions at.
Yeah.
Like you said, with the rules, that's what people look like when they come up here for prophecy. Say that the Lord said He gonna heal them from a disease. They gonna say, well, you know, what doctor gonna do it? You know, how is He gonna do it? But that ain't how God had it working. Maybe God gonna send an angel in the middle of the night to make a move, you know. But that's just what church folks do. We get in a habit of looking for instructions, and I would say it's our flesh that look for instructions, because most of the time, some church folks, I wouldn't say all of them, most of the time, they're living a right life. You know, they're not running, of course, like you said, stop sign. They're not running stop sign. They're not, but they are so used to instructions, and the Bible is filled with instructions that they look for instructions and stuff like that come out. But maybe God, maybe God have something else maybe God has another plan for you. And so I was talking about, because and I was saying, maybe that was their sacrifice to God. He wanted to see if how long were they going to sacrifice being in the wilderness. And I was like, well, God, if they were sacrificing, because with sacrifice, it comes with, something more of you see clearly. When you say you go fasting on something, when people fast, most of the time they be like, well, I can see, I read the scripture and I get a better clarification out of it. So how do we know that God wasn't forcing him into a sacrifice to see where he was going to take him to was better than where they was at now? So, but they didn't let that happen because they were so into their self, and they didn't wait on God to move.
Well, I know, I feel like when God does things, he does have divine purposes and reasons, and he was dealing with some stuff that is, and I guess to get him to the promised land where at some point you ought to appreciate God, at some point, look like they would have just had enough in them to appreciate God for the things that he had done and believe
What he
him
had done for him
for the
already.
things that he said he was gonna do. But I think a complaint and a murmuring always have some kind of connection with ungratefulness.
That's true.
Some kind of way.
That's it, because they were ungrateful, because they saw, he could have let them die at the banks of the Red Sea. He didn't have to let the sea split in half, but they were so focused on what they didn't have
Yeah.
that they didn't see what they had already came over and accomplished. And that's what we do. We so focused on what we don't have. Well, we don't have just, I'm not just you, we don't have a nice church. We don't have this, we don't have this. They got this over there at their church, why we can't? But you can't look at that, because what they did to get theirs may not be what God wants you to do to get yours.
That's true.
So and Pastor, now that you said that about Moses, I can see where Moses kind of was angry. If you go over to Hebrews 11, Moses really sacrificed something. Because you go there where Pharaoh's daughter finds him, he told him he didn't want to be called Pharaoh's daughter's son, because he'd rather be treated like God's people. So as I can see where he probably got angry, like, do y'all know what I sacrificed just so I can bring y'all ungrateful people out here, and y'all you complaining about this, and I could have been living in the king's mansion, even though it was filled with sin, he still could have been there instead of where he was at.
Luxury there too.
He was it was a luxurious space. But
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But he said, no, I'm gonna follow God's plan, because God had a plan for him.
You made me think about, what we were talking about earlier, in your work, how the people complain, well, I think it was others, how the people that's incarcerated complain about the conditions, I guess, there, or whatever they want. And he said something about one man told him, say, you when you were out free, you had all of it. actually worked hard to try to get them to Canaan.
Wow.
Cause we came from Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we worked hard to try to get them. But look like, as they started to grow up, they forgot all that
Mhm.
stuff.
We start cutting the grapevine. They don't want to.
And so it was like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, never appreciate,
Mm-hmm.
never got enough, never embarrassed, never look at you and see you tired and overworked and stressed out and trying to make your bills. They, if they want something, they will never say to themselves, I don't need to ask them for it.
Okay.
But they'll come and they'll ask, and if they don't get it, they really flip the script. You know, I'm just, this stuff feels like it may be inherited. But still, there's a God, there's a Jesus who came along to get us, somebody said, what's your hand up? To get us away from this stuff.
You know, we, in school, was talking about cultural legacies, the importance of knowing cultural legacies, and every time, people think about the word legacies, they always associate it with something, positive. The cultural legacies can be negative or positive, it's whatever it's whatever's on your generation line, how your generation thought about this, how your generation raised you, you know, and we must still at some point, you know, as the Bible says, just our faults one to another. I look at my kids and it's like two different generations. With my older two kids, I didn't play. With my young two kids, I was relaxed. You can tell the difference between night and day. You can tell whether the older two believe in working, you know what I'm saying, whether they like the job or not, you get what I'm saying, they stay, versus the younger two, if they don't like something, they're easy to quit, versus the older two, you know, you sit down, at some point you have to see, just be honest, and we dropped the ball, you know what I'm saying? Now, I will admit, my daughter's boss, they call me this week, cause he always like to hear my opinion of things, and she said, Mama, so-and-so, said that you raised a shelter, and I said, I did. I said, because I was raised sheltered. I said, and you do what you know, you know what I'm saying? But, it's so much different night and day, and sometimes my older two kids, they'll hear how my younger two kids respond to something I say, and this is the reaction they have. They're not looking at the kids, they look at me, they're like, cause they be like, you gonna let them get away with that? You know, you gonna let them get away with that? You know, and to be honest, the younger two do it because it's what I allow. You know what I'm saying? We gotta just tell the truth, you know what I'm saying? Cause my second daughter went to school with my whole handprint on her face. Not saying that was right, but it was still a level of respect. And you know what? The teacher told her when she got to school, now I received a call. CPS call. DHS, whatever you're gonna call it. But the teacher said, you had to do something in order for your mama to get this angry or this upset at you. And she didn't do nothing but lie, you know, but my oldest two was raised not to even lie. Not saying it wasn't sneaky. But if I asked them a question, you know, there were always consequences. But then the other two, I got relaxed. You know, we gotta just tell the truth. That's what's going on with the world today. It's a lack of parenting skills. And now you don't have any morals or values in children, and teachers have to raise kids now, you know, as be mentors, that's a better word. Be mentors to kids before they can actually instruct them. That's because of what's coming out of the house.
But and then after that though, it's still I see it's just amazing. I know it's like I said, lacking of discipline, but you got like folks come to this world is just bad. The world ain't bad.
No.
Right.
The world's not bad. It's how you perceive it, you know, how you, but you got kids that come from homes that their mama is on drugs, mom and dad, and they refuse to live that way. It's a choice thing. It's of how you, all of it just, it's not saying it's confusing, but it's just amazing. I don't get it. You know.
Cause see, okay, you got the kids that come out of all this brokenness. Then you got your kids that you raise, get out there and mix with this brokenness. You know what I'm saying? And now, some of the kids that the value that they got, they hold to them. But you got some more kids came under those same values. They don't hold to it. It's different.
Yeah.
Because you got children now. Y'all, it's just some stuff out here. Cause like, if you send one to school now with your handprint on them, you going to jail. I'm just telling you. And me, I don't intend to go to jail for no child. I just don't. I know what the Bible says, but I don't. I do not intend.
You know, that was wrong that way, what I did. That was wrong.
Well, it may have been wrong,
It worked.
but
Right.
It did
if
work.
your child goes to school and say you whipped them and they ain't got no whip on, you still finna be subject to some harassment. Like, huh? I'm just saying that the truth is the truth. You gonna get, it's some stuff, and I think it is sin to have allowed, I believe, cause like I said, the Lord told Israel, and he also said, I'll heal your land. So what was ever on the land, God either did or allowed it to happen. Because of what the people were doing, because he was in control to heal it,
And he was telling them,
come back to it.
when he said, if my people, I will heal the land, he was telling them then, there's some on the land
It's somebody
that you gotta pray for to get, for it to happen. So he pretty much told them, you don't have to pray for this thing,
I was reading in Revelation, and I read, the Bible talk about the dragon and the beast that's been loose, that was loose then, and that was gonna be loose in our time. And it was saying one was talkative, it had a mouth, and whatever it said, the people flocked to it. You hear me? It's out there. I mean, if we don't see this, so we gotta know that we are living in God's appointed divine purposes. Something gotta happen to bring us to the end time. Y'all know what I'm saying? God is allowing stuff to happen that's producing end time. So it's some stuff out here that I believe forceful prayer unto God from righteous people. I believe God's mercy, he'll still, come with mercy. But some stuff ain't going nowhere. Right. Because it's gotta produce.
It is written.
It's gotta produce, as old folks say, the next scene. Something gotta produce it, huh?
I was in, last night when I was going over my little notes here, some kept bringing, Revelation 18. Well, you go to Revelation 18, at the beginning of 18, if you read 18 starting, you get confused. You gotta go to 17 and start at verse 17. And it says, for God has put in their hearts to fulfill his will and give their kingdom unto the beast, unto the words of God shall be fulfilled.
I'm telling y'all.
And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of earth. So I mean, of course, we can pray hard, we can pray, but some stuff just gotta be fulfilled, cause that's the word.
And God is so awesome until he can still put you in a good place and let all this stuff happen. And it never affect you because of who he is and because he see your forwardness unto him and your obedience. But what he said gonna happen, but he can still put you. What it said, they that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow. See, that's a different place than whatever else is out there that's not under the shadow. Y'all, God is an awesome God, I'm telling you. But I'm praying, I continue to pray and ask God to keep us in a place of discernment so we won't try to fight what he's doing. Because you ain't gonna do nothing but burn energy and mental stability. You gonna burn it up.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna go on to Revelation 18, because Revelation 18 was just pulling on me last night. So I went and read it, and then it started at verse 1. It says, and after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every clean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth have waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And then here come another voice from heaven. It says, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not her plagues, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities.
And that word, commit fornication, means you left God for other gods, for other things. Lord help us.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a sifting, you know. It's gonna be a sifting, because y'all, you know, I know when our former president came, I heard the Spirit of the Lord say, he is a man in time. And I knew when the Spirit said in time, I knew that means time of God's divine appointed time. What he was doing, and I said it when that man first got in office. I said it, I said the Spirit of the Lord said he's a man in time. I mean, when he first took office, I knew then that some unusual stuff was going on, and I knew that it wasn't gonna look godly. But y'all, a lot of stuff that don't look godly is godly. It's just appointed, it's divine, it's taking place. But I'm telling you, God will put his folks up if we go to him. He'll put us up now.
You know, he's still president. He's just not in office.
You hear me? And I mean over the people that you would have thought knew better. And even he's taken authority in the churches. This is crazy, y'all.
And if he does wrong, there are excuses for him.
Always.
Or somebody else did that.
That's right. That's right. So we gotta see where we are. We gotta buckle down in faith. We gotta get on our knees and stay before the Lord, because we are in that time where you know, I know Jesus was teaching on several occasions, and he was telling the state of this condition will be worse than Sodom and Gomorrah. Will be worse than our world is upside down. It's flipped, you know. So we just in the end time and stuff is happening, but God will put his folks up. I ain't playing with you. He'll put us up. He'll put us up, and in the end, before the end time end, God on earth. He gonna do it, y'all. He gonna do it. I don't know if I'll be here to see it or not, but he gonna do it. I know one thing. If I die, if the Lord let me continue to walk after him, I'm gonna be with him. Whatever he doing, I'm gonna be with the Lord. Because I just know this stuff is out of the norm. And if you read the Bible, you will find it. It's in there. I promise you it's in there. I never saw one, I hate to say it, crazy man, insane, full of follyism, can just say stuff and the whole world lurk after him. I never got, we gotta know that this is an unusual thing, an unusual time. We need to be digging in the word so we can discern the time and see where we are.
Yeah, I know I ain't got no more of those.
Well, we can just talk, ain't we? Okay, thank you. But I even thank God, I'm kinda like, did I see somebody hand in book? I even thank God. It's a scripture in the Bible says something about, wow, I have to go find it, about living in the land of the witnessing God's goodness in the land